Hi everyone. If you don't already, please go get a glass of water and something to sage yourself, cleanse yourself, anything like that, so that we can just release anything that we brought today. And just setting up this altar here. I'm gonna say happy full moon. Super full moon. It's a big one. And I'm just gonna do a few of my tune-ups. For those of you who've been coming to the class, you're aware, but I'll just speak through them quickly, but I'm gonna do it quickly so we can keep going. I have my protection spray, so my energy is, everything I'm sharing has, doesn't drain my energy, so it maintains my energy, protects my space. And then I take my Kajiwa Ormus, Sonia gave me, and we'll put that in there again. I anoint myself with frankincense today, and then I'm going to do some rose oil, because part of the half marker of today is related to rose, so we're going to get into that. And then also Queen's Destiny is another blend I'm anointing myself with. And part of, this is a time where real leadership is being asked of us. And this is a time where fluffing about and fucking around is not totally going to serve the bigger picture. And, as the old systems are breaking down and these systems of control are trying to come in and do their thing, our leadership won't allow that. And so it's a cultivation of real leadership because of what we stand for. What we stand for is on behalf of all beings, human and non-human. So just calling upon each and every one of you that's a leader. There's a reason why you're here. Because, every class, it's different people. Sometimes it's a small group, sometimes it's a large group. It fluctuates, and I feel like it's so connected to the content of the day. And one of the things that I really feel really important to note is it's not about how many people, it's about the quality of the people and the attention and the care and the medicine that's connected to why each person's here and why their ancestors threw them into being. So I just really appreciate each and every one of you, because today is very much about leadership and ritual. And so that this is a real acknowledgement of each and every one of you as a leader. That's why you're here. So God bless, Creator bless all the leaders and the cultivation of leadership in service to the whole. So I'm going to start by making a prayer here. And then with that prayer, then we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'll talk about what this day is about. I'll introduce myself, all that good stuff. And I'm offering some copal today. It really feels like the medicine of Central and South America. Just want to acknowledge, I had a conversation with a friend in Mexico. We're discussing the borders. And, we're all part of the Americas, It's not just North America, it's South America too, Central America. I just want to acknowledge Mesoamerica, like all the Americas united here today. And take a special moment to just acknowledge all of the children at the borders. I just want to honor them fully, and just everything that we're doing here, just also bless them, truly. So I'm going to make a prayer here. For those of you who've been coming, you kind of know my little outline, my structure, same thing every time. And then I just add a bit more. And when we get into next week, we're going to start breaking down the tree of life after we do this, the 7 planets. And then from the tree of life, we're going to eventually we'll get to the technology of prayer. So we'll go into that more. So I just want to start and say greetings to the ancestral homelands here, the Nisenan people, Ustama, Shelley Covert, Ginger Covert, and may all that is offered here today that goes into the web also bring federal recognition to the Nisenan tribe. Keep that prayer moving forward, Creator God. Now I acknowledge all of our ancestral homelands that each and every one of us is currently inhabiting, and all of the indigenous native peoples that have been tending to all of these lands that are gathered here today on this super full moon here, this day of Mars, this Tuesday, in the art of rituals. And I acknowledge all of these ancestral homelands of the native indigenous people that have been tending to these lands for eons. Just want to say thank you. And in that way, to all of our ancestors, all our benevolent ancestors, guides, and allies, all the lineage lines and bloodlines that we carry, the ancestral homelands that are connected to our bloodlines. Just want to acknowledge each and every one of them here too today, and acknowledge each and every one of our ancestors, our benevolent ancestors that dreamed us into this exact configuration for this prayer here today, and this cultivation of leadership and ritual for ourselves. And in that, when we take care of ourselves, leadership and ritual for ourselves, how to humbly be of service to our community, and in that way, humbly of service to the global web, the neath web of creation, Creator God. And in that way, I want to acknowledge all the beings of all the directions and calling upon the holy beings of the East, Aset, and the holy beings of the Northeast, Sekhmet, and the holy beings of the South, Sirket, holy beings of the Southeast, Aner and Rek, holy beings of the West, Nebhet, holy beings of the Northwest, Anpu, holy beings of the North, Neath, holy beings of the Northeast, Tehuti, and holy beings again of the East, Aset, and in that way acknowledging the three worlds. In the nether world, Oser, Ma'at, and in the upper world, Nut, Seshata, Heteru, and in the middle world here, Geb, Shu, and Tefnut, and all of these holy beings in the 8 directions and in the 3 worlds of the Netheru, coming together here to create this protective circle and this council of leadership. I just want to say thank you. And to Star Nations, to all that is being offered here from the Oracle, from Nefertiti, in this time of the art of ritual on this full moon here, why we've gathered here, really to cultivate this inner leadership. May everything that's brought forward be a great gift and be of great use and be of great benefit to each and every one of us, our lives, our paths moving forward, everything we care about in our heart, mind, body, and spirit that brought us here together to tend to daily life of ritual in alignment with the cosmos, so that we can be more connected internally and externally, within and without, above and below, to make of our offering, our life, an offering of great benefit and use on behalf of all beings, human and non-human. And in that way, I want to say thank you to the 4-leggeds and the 2-leggeds and the insect kingdom and the winged ones and the swimming ones and the standing ones and all the beings non-human of this earth. Just want to connect to you here right now and say thank you for the ecosystem that you have kept moving and growing, and us as a species, we're learning how to be in right relationship with the ecosystem and how to re-enter back into the ecosystem in a good way. And through these teachings today, may they help us do that. Calling upon the technology of biomimicry, invoking the technologies of biomimicry, may we learn to pay attention to the natural world in relation to the star systems, and learn the cosmology of the cosmos on this planet Earth and the universe. Watch, observe, pay attention, and learn in a way to help our species reintegrate back into the ecosystem in a good way on behalf of 7 generations into the future. Pray to bless all the children at this time. Om Kaneteru, Om Kaneteru, Om Kaneteru. All right. All right. So let's say good afternoon, everybody. My name is Isis Indria, born in Mesa, Arizona, raised on the island of Guam. I'm a Chamorro woman. I represent the Pacific Islands, and I'm a guest here in the Nisenan land here of Nevada County, Nevada City. So I just want to acknowledge the Sierra Foothills and the Yuba River. And really, I feel like it's quite powerful that we're aligning on this super moon today in Libra, on the day of Aries, the day of Mars, which is associated with Aries. Primarily because Aries actually and Scorpio, and it's a time where like all of this stuff is coming up right now, and we're learning how to direct this energy in a good way. So coming around the art of ritual, it's not just because we come around for one ritual, we make of our life ritual, and we learn how to tap into the rituals that we do every day and how to bring more intention, awareness, connectivity and how to tap into the cosmological structures of the universe, how we're influenced by the cosmos, and how we make of beauty and right relationship and right alignment with the cosmos. And we learn how to do that in the art of ritual. And today, everything, you know, why I do Tuesday art of ritual, Wednesday Egyptian cosmology, and Thursday divination is because it's a woven web of storytelling. So what unfolds in the art of ritual today is divination for what wants to be presented tomorrow by the Neteru to all of you, that then goes into the technologies of how we enter a world of divination. So it's a thread. And I say this every time, I never know exactly what's going to be brought forward unless somebody specifically inquires for things to be brought forward, or the spirit of all the ancestors that bring us together inform what wants to be brought forward. So it's a collaboration of both. And I'm very excited because it feels like the more we go deeper into this time of the coronation, and the more we learn how to relax and surrender into uncertainty, into the unknown, into the great mystery of what lies ahead, we come to the sacred. It's by nature. You know, the sacred is always there, and it's always present. And sometimes when we're busy going in our lives, doing this and that, and meeting this person, rushing this in, on this phone, on this computer, it's easy to forget to tend to a sacred way of life, which is everything all day in all of our relations. And in this time of the coronation, in this cultivation of leadership, each and every one of us as leaders, because we have to, as each and every one of you know, that's why you're here, create the new systems as these other systems are dissolving that we've been designed to function in. And as these other systems are trying to continue to control, it is our job as leaders to create the new systems that benefit all beings, human and non-human. And so this is that time of the great coronation for each and every one of us. This is the time we're self-initiating our path, moving forward, individually, as a family, collectively, and globally. And that's what this day is about, self-initiating and directing our life force energy in a really clear way on behalf of the good of the whole. So I just want to bow to each and every one of you as leaders. And in that way, bless like humility, and bless like integrity, humility, great care, great tending to the details of everything that we do all day, every day, because every day, every moment of our lives is a prayer and a ritual and an offering. Everything we do. Our body never goes to sleep. We like go to sleep, but our body's constantly working for us all day and all night, millions of interdependent beings, so that we can be spirits and bodies. So we can have a soul in this body. So there's all these beings working for us, and part of the humility is like the gratitude of what it is to be like alive at this time and put of ourselves back in service, while all these interdependent millions and billions of beings are working for us, so we can carry this instrument in a good way. All of this time, as each and every one of you know, has been prophesized. We've been praying for it. We've been calling this forward, and we've been training. So we're prepared, and part of the preparation is to keep training and to keep going. You know, that's the work of the Shambhala warriors, to keep going and training, to keep training, because we knew this was coming. We didn't know when, and now it's here. And so now it's about our council of leadership. So I just want to say that, and then make an offering to each and every one of you as leaders. And I feel like I need that jacket. It just got like super cold. Sometimes my temperature drops when I feel the power of the medicine. So it feels really connected to the medicine of today, this super full moon. Okay, so I'm going to make this offering of this frankincense to each and every one of you as leaders. And God bless whatever you're here to do, Creator, bless it, Allah, Spirit, whatever term works for you, the infinite source of creation. This is for you, and you know, I trust that it's going to go through the body of me, through the web, to each and every one of you. Okay, so one thing I want to be clear about that is very important is I'm not teaching anything. I'm not a teacher. I'm a sharer. This is a ceremony, and everything that's brought forward is stuff each and every one of you already know. And I'm just here to help you remember. I really mean that. It's not like a cute idea. It's like it's a truth. I'm here to help you remember. And I'm also here to like share what's been passed to me or what I've been taught around learning how to be in right relationship with the cosmos, internally and externally. The emerald tablet as within, so without, that which is above is that which is below, and when the two become one, then we enter the kingdom of heaven. And so my offering here is to be an instrument for teachings that have been passed to me. And I want to acknowledge my teachers that are really present for this. One of them is William J. Kiesel. I really highly recommend looking up William J. Kiesel. Ouroboros, O-U-R-B-O-R-O-S. Ouroboros Press is his book company. I'm very excited. I first started studying Kabbalah and alchemy with him, and he's going to be teaching alchemy through the school, which I'm very excited about. He's kind of like one of those hierophants that like, he has this incredible book collection online in his place, Mortlake and Company in Seattle, and also the books that he has translated, ancient magical texts he has translated in with Ars Obscura, really incredible book binding. It's like every book you pick off the shelf is like the best of that style or that, you know, technology or that information of that thread around magic and mystery teachings. So it's just that the level of refinement and history of knowingness where information comes from and why it's necessary. That's kind of who he is. He's the secret hidden magician, and so I'm bringing him to the forefront now. So I just want to acknowledge him here. I'm very excited. He'll be teaching. And then also want to acknowledge Gudni Goodnison and Lori Goodnison. They were very powerful teachers for me. I have incredible respect for them. And then also Marza Millar. And Marza is also going to be teaching this week. She's going to be teaching prophecies. So one thing that's really important in terms of acknowledging your teachers from what you are offering forward is that then they receive the blessing that is of the blessing of the offerings moving forward. It's very, very important. And sometimes I feel like in this Western world, when we're getting this certification, and this thing, and then we can do this, we can like do Reiki, we can teach magic, we can like hold a circle, we can, all these things are tool belt, but sometimes we forget to like honor where the wisdom came from and how it was taught to us and how to tend to it really well. So I feel like it's really important to share the lineages and the storylines. It's also a way to like carry the integrity moving forward. You know, I feel like these mystery teachings are coming forward at this time too because they're needed. This is a time where the unseen is being seen. You know, now that we actually are having to stop. Like the world is like, it's like stop, major reset, take a deep breath, like care for the collective nervous system of the earth, our personal nervous system and the collective nervous system of the earth. This time that is being forced upon us is making it so the unseen can be seen because there are far more beings watching and paying attention and they're non-human than there are human. And so now they get a voice on the table. So I'm very happy about that. Okay, moving forward. Nefertiti is the main voice that is teaching and sharing here. I'm just an instrument for her, so I'm going to be very clear about that. Just acknowledge her, she's the queen. And what I'm going to be sharing today based on a request from Sonia was to get deeper into the 7 planets on a day-to-day basis from every day of the week, so that we each can align our rituals and what we're doing each day of the week in alignment with the planets. So we're going to do that today. And the first thing I wanted to present was the heptagram. Sometimes it's referred to as the Star of the Magi, and it's related to the 7 planets. And it's also sometimes referred to as the Elven Star or the Fae Star. And so I wanted to present this too, and I'm going to invite everybody to draw this because this is what we're going to go through first today. And if we have time, we're going to go through some other stuff after that, but we're going to start with here. So I'm going to bring this to the front. Maybe you could hold this, Ruby, and just put it in the camera. I'm just going to invite everybody to draw this. How do we do this? Should I go the wrong way? I think it's just pretty big. Let's do it here. Can it go closer though? Here, will we move the camera? Do you think it needs to be? There we go. Okay. Thanks. Team, go team. Okay, so this is a heptagram. I'm going to invite everyone to draw this. This is a 7-pointed star, it's not a 5-pointed star. It looks slightly easy, it's a little tricky. There is a particular way to draw it. You know, if you want to get real nerdy, go in the clockwise down to up. But for now, just draw a 7-pointed star. And again, this is the heptagram, Star of the Magi. And this is the main 7 planets that the Chaldeans from Babylonia, Mesopotamia around Tigris, Euphrates, the 7 planets that were visible at that time around the era of the Chaldeans. And so this is why we work with these 7 planets. And then this is why the 7 days of the week are associated with the 7 planets. So we're just going to focus on these planets. And go ahead and draw the 7-point star, and then I'm going to invite you to draw the symbols. The top here is Saturn. We're going to go through this, so it's all good. Don't worry about it. Saturn. Then we have Jupiter. We have Mars. It's really good to draw the symbols, because symbols, this is where we start to get into hieroglyphic symbolic thinking. The Sun. Venus. Mercury. Take note of Mercury. Whoa, kind of looks like Venus, but it's got a moon on it. Interesting. The Moon. Symbols start to show the storylines of the technology of those planets, particularly in the context of these symbols. So really getting to know the symbols is very, very helpful and very useful. So I'm just going to go through it one more time, and then we're going to go through each day of the week. Saturn. Jupiter. 4. Mars, today. The Sun. Venus. Mercury. Moon. Heptagram, Star of the Magi. Magi is magician. Imagination. I am a magi of my nation. I'm a magician of my nation. We're getting into magicianship technologies. Okay. Now, something I would recommend in general is getting into the habit of drawing the planets per day. Each planet associated with each day. So then you're starting to get into symbolic languaging and writing. And then all of a sudden, you start finding yourself drawing symbols and sigils. A couple weeks ago, we did a sigil class, and we're learning how to distill our prayers, our logo, create a logo for our business or our name or what we want to project into the fields, distilling it into a symbol, a sigil, that then creates a bridge between our subconscious and our conscious and our superconscious. And pretty soon, you'll start drawing in symbols, and then we start getting into sigillic, symbolic thinking, corresponding relationships. Okay, so we're gonna do now is, now that you have the heptagram, you have the Star of the Magi being magician, also being imagination. I'm a magician of my nation. Learning how to work with the elements, the planets, and the cosmos, and how to direct energy in a really, really clear way in service to the whole. It's very much about in service to the whole. We're going to now align them with the days of the week, and we're going to go through colors, Egyptian Neteru, qualities of each day of the week, so that starting our week, we can align with them and align our daily rituals, or the daily rituals we do in awareness of the energy of the day. And that's gonna, part of why that's useful is, like for me as an example, my whole week is organized based on the energy of the day. And so then I start to tap into the natural influencing energy of the cosmos in relationship to my day, and then helps me tune in and create and manifest in a very clear way. So we're gonna just kind of go through first the whole days, every day of the week and their planetary associations, and then we're going to go through each day at a time. And then once we go through that, if we have some time, we're going to go into another request for a class, a portion of the class. So we'll just see how much we get through. Okay, so today we're just going to start with naming the planets. So I would recommend making, like on your piece of paper, a chart or you can do one per page, but do like each day of the week like this. And then we're gonna write down some associations. Okay, today is Tuesday. Today is Mars. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Mercury.
Thursday.
Okay, real quick thing about Wednesday, Mars. When Mars
Tuesday.
is,
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
Mars.
Thank you. Yeah, just so everyone knows, sometimes I reverse things, so I need people to help me remember if I'm reversing things.
Got you.
Thank you. Tuesday, Mars. It looks like a sun, and it's got the arrow.
Example of
Tuesday's the sun. Tuesday, Mars has a circle and an arrow. Okay. Wednesday, Mercury. Circle has the elemental cross underneath it, and then a moon at the top. That's Mercury. Okay, we're starting to think like, wow, we're breaking down these symbols: a sun, a moon, and the elements. Mercury. Wednesday. Thursday, Jupiter. Looks like a 4. Jupiter. Okay. Then we get into Friday. Friday is Venus. Has a circle, like the eternal cycle of life and death, sometimes the solar quality, and then the elements below. It's probably more popular one. Everyone loves Venus. Wonder why? Because Venus is associated with
Love.
and then Saturday is Saturn. And Saturday, the way I like to see Saturn gets a bad rep, but I love Saturn. And we'll get into Saturn in a bit. Love Saturn. But Saturn has a cross at the top. I kind of see it. And then it kind of has a curve like this. And I kind of look at it as like a throne, seated on thrones. So this great mother seated on the throne. Star too. Cross at the top, the elements, and then these legs on a throne. Sunday, sun. Monday, moon. Monday. That's a very helpful remembrance. Monday, moon day. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to sort of break down qualities per day. Particularly, one of the main questions was, can we do colors? Okay, so now this is a really great question because depending on the magical tradition you're looking in and depending on what court member you're looking into will depend on the shade or color of that color. Example, there's Empress shades, there's Emperor shades, there's King shades, there's Queen shades. So you have shades of each color. And some of the planets are associated with a few colors. And it depends on what magical tradition, and it's interchangeable. But I'm going to work with a specific amount of colors, specific colors themselves, and then we'll talk more about shades later. So Tuesday, Mars. Red. Now this is coming from particularly where the tradition that I'm talking is related to Robert Wang and the Hermetic Kabbalistic color palette in a specific realm. Now, when we start to get into color palettes and color shades, we're talking about different worlds on the Kabbalah. We're going to start in the Kabbalah next week. So this is a baseline moving into Hermetic Kabbalah. Wednesday, Mercury is
Orange.
The whole crew here is wearing orange.
We got
We're a little bit ahead of ourselves.
We need this class.
And I did that last week. I wore the color the next day. So
It's like, what day is it?
Yeah.
Quarantine. March 56th.
So you start to feel in the color per the day, right? So this is what we're doing this. Okay, then Jupiter is
Sapphire.
Blue and sapphire. You get into the jewel tones and you get into the gradients.
Jupiter's that one that looks like a 4.
Yeah, Jupiter looks like a 4. And sapphire blues in the sapphire realm are one color association. Venus. What's Venus in the real?
Purple,
Pink.
gray.
Every
I am
color.
the beauty of the green earth and the white moon among the stars.
Green.
Green.
Green is
Really?
Oh yeah.
In relationship to this particular lineage we're working in. So Venus is associated with green.
And Greenus.
Venus.
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 Now we have now it's one thing to note. This is like helpful for me anyways. Venus as a symbol has the sun, and then it has a cross, and the cross often is related to the elements. So Venus is an embodiment and carries the technologies of the elemental kingdom, the natural world, in which green is very much associated.
It's the heart.
And it's the heart. Yeah, exactly. And then we have, what's the next day?
Saturn.
Saturn day.
Saturn Day. Saturn is black.
Black.
Interesting. Sometimes she can be gray, but Saturn is often, this is when we start getting to Kabbalah next week, it'll start to like open up into more awareness. But oftentimes Saturn in relationship to the Kabbalah is associated with Bina, and Bina is the great sea. She's like she's the fertile mother and the sterile mother. She's we'll go through each planet, but again, Bina wants to be spoken about right now, the Holy Mother. She's like receives the direction, the line of the seed energy into the triangle, which is the womb, and the whole manifest world starts to emanate from her womb. So she's the dark mother.
She's the throne.
Yeah, she's the throne. And so I always think of her as, at the top you have the elements. She's like crowned with the awareness of the elemental kingdom above and below. That's why she's like Kyra. This is how I see it. And then she's like seated on her throne with her legs. Like she understands not only like how creation works, but the discipline that's required to care for and tend to what's being manifested. Because it's a discipline, the container, the limitations, the structure, the severity around it, to make sure that creation can manifest in a really clear way and flow in a good way. So there's a little bit about Saturn.
And Rachel wants to know if Violet is also for Jupiter.
Sometimes, but we're gonna get to, so Amrita, great question. She's asking me if Violet is associated with Jupiter. Now we get into, depending on the lineage we're talking about, and also depending on what court of the courts, kings and queens and empress, emperor, there are different emanations or qualities of the color or gradients of color, depending on what world we're in. Because we're moving in different worlds. Last week we talked about the 7 cosmic planes, and then we talked about the 7 solar planes. So if we're talking about planet Earth and what world and planet Earth, and we start to move into other dimensions, what world we're in, the gradients change. So yes and no.
She said thank you.
Yeah. So then we have Monday. What would Monday be?
White? Moon?
Blue. Gray.
Combined with what Amrita said,
Violet.
purple and indigo.
Ah.
So like is one color. Now, but it is associated with silver as a metal. So it makes sense that you would think white or silver.
Yeah, what's Sunday?
Oh, Sunday. Did I skip something?
Yeah, we said
Sunday is, guess.
White. Or yellow.
Sun.
Yellow.
Yellow.
Gold.
Yellow, gold,
Yeah.
citrine. Yeah. So Sunday's yellow, gold, citrine. So now we have this particular color palette we're working in. Tuesday, red. Wednesday, orange. Tuesday, red Mars. Wednesday, orange Mercury. Thursday, Jupiter, blue Sapphire. Friday, Venus, green. Saturday, Saturn, black. Sunday, sun, gold, citrine yellows. Monday, moon day, indigos, purples. Sometimes, we'll get into metals next.
Pamela
Okay.
wants to know if these colors are for the days linked to the archangels.
Yes and no. This is why we're going to go into Kabbalah. Who asked that? Pamela. So Pamela, this is what we're going to go into Kabbalah, because once we start moving into like Hermetic Kabbalah, we start to learn about different worlds and different qualities of color in relationship to archangels in the different worlds. So yes, but not today. No in relationship to today. Now, part of magicianship work is related to, you know, when you're building your grimoire, your magic book, you're experimenting. So a lot of times, you know, we'll see when we start to look into like Hermetic traditions, different colors associated or different planets or like different magicians experimenting. That then the experimentations turn into their ritual technologies. So that's why sometimes you'll see a lot of different examples, or like a very popular, you know, mysterious magician in the Hermetic world is Aleister Crowley. He's known to change things. So it's like, you know, like he even changed some of the tarot names, one of them particularly. And that's part of it, is like experimenting and seeing what works for a magician in alignment with the cosmos.
Which tarot card did you change?
Look it up and tell us next week.
Okay.
It's related to your question last week. Okay, so now the Chaldean sequence, which is where this like 7-day of the week planets moving are related to, is also the order of the planets and their speed. You know, so
This
like,
is the Chaldean sequence.
the 7 days that we're going through, yeah. The order and their speed. So the furthest out, the slowest, would be what?
Jupiter?
No.
Neptune? Neptune? Saturn?
Saturn.
Neptune's not even Saturn.
On these 7. So Saturn's the slowest, and what's coming in next?
Jupiter?
Jupiter.
And then Mercury. No.
Mhm.
No. Mars.
Mars. Then, so we started Saturn from slowest to fastest. Saturn, Jupiter, Mars.
Mars.
Then
Venus.
Sun.
Venus.
Sun. Then
Venus.
Venus.
Then Mercury.
And Mercury.
Then
Then the sun.
Mercury. Then Moon.
And Moon.
I mean the moon.
So that's like from like slowest to fastest, you know, and then also what they can see. So that's linked up with the days of the week.
How does that correspond?
It's not quite in order.
It's not quite in order, but I'm just giving you a context, particularly for the board, because this is
Because that's the order the board's
this
in,
is
right?
the order the board's in.
Distance.
So now I'm kind of like giving little keys that relate to classes coming up. You know, so everything ultimately leads towards the divination board in a way, with some changes, and this is part of it. And that's the altar that's set here.
Can we repeat the order of the planets one more time?
Mm-hmm. Saturn. Now this is only the 7 planets we're working with in terms of slowest. Saturn to fastest. Jupiter. Mars. Sun. Venus. Mercury. Moon.
It's in the order of
I didn't draw it. I can't. Is it in order?
Yeah, it's in the order.
Okay, good. All right. I'm gonna bring this with me. Okay, so now what I want to associate is in some of the pagan traditions. Now you can correlate all different kinds of plants with planets, and actually Seja Evolutionary with Herbalism. He's a genius. Look him up. He just sent a 7 planet, 7 herbs video thing that was amazing. I watched it last week. I'm not necessarily going to work with what he sent out, but you can associate plants in relationship to planets. There are a lot, and it's really helpful and useful. I'm going to talk more about certain plants that associate with the coming together of 2 planets. I'm just going to give you a list, and this can be useful for your day-to-day rituals. And then I highly recommend, if you really want to get deep into the plant kingdom, start looking it up. There's a lot there. Oftentimes, Seja talks a lot about a plant in relationship to a planet. You want to look at all the different qualities of the plant, like how the plant feels, what it tastes like, the conditions in which it grows in, how it responds to the sun and the moon, and how it works in relationship to other plants. You know, it's learning about all of the qualities. What I'm going to give you just a list of plants that you can work with that are between. I think I'm going to draw it on here. Maybe, could you draw it? Okay, cool. Ruby's been doing all the art. She's awesome. Okay, so let's start with, today is Mars Day. Let's just start with Saturn. You know, Saturn's wanting a lot of attention. Between Saturn and Jupiter, I'm gonna call upon the planet Bayleaf. So in between Bay. Now, we could talk about each planet for a long time, but particularly with Bayleaf, Bay is very useful for like divination, and I'm talking more in certain contexts of ritual, okay? This is particularly ritual. This is not, and they're associated with medicine, but I'm not coming from an herbalism perspective. I'm coming from a ritual perspective. Bayleaf can be associated with offerings and divination. So we're looking at thinking about the qualities of Saturn and Jupiter, which are between Thursday and Saturday. Bayleaf. Okay. So you put. Oh yeah, you got it. I was gonna say divination and offerings.
For that one, in
Mhm.
between here.
Yeah. Now between Jupiter and Mars, we're going to look at lavender. Right here, lavender. Now I'm sure all of us have a strong relationship with lavender. You know, it seems pretty obvious. I don't know if I need to describe it too much, but you can think of it in terms of healing qualities, relaxation, things like that. Mars and Sun. What did I put for Mars and Sun? Oh yeah. I put time. So time is associated with memory, because one of the things that's very important in ritual is opening up memory palaces. Memory palaces are key, because in ritual, when we come into a ritual place, we create a ritual way of life. What we're doing is we're opening up memory palaces in our consciousness, because we're learning about how past, present, and future interact in like forwards, backwards, downwards, in all directions. So we know where to make offerings and where to make prayers. So that's why we're going to do time here. And then between Sun and Venus, Rose seems like an obvious one. Rose. Now these are all interchangeable. This is just me making an offering to you. Use it as you wish or not. I am, so I wanted to present them. And then Venus and Mercury is pine. For those of us in the Northwest, you can harvest pine. This is also particularly related to like direction and purpose and directing energy, and also like from a prosperous consciousness, you know? So prosperity and direction related with pine. And then I put for this one, Mercury and Moon cedar. As all of you know, I work with cedar a lot, and that's partly because it grows in the home. So we get to, when the wind like blows the cedar and it lands, we pick it up and we dry it, and we work with the cedar quite a lot. Cedar is a lot about healing and forgiveness, and also about strength, cultivating strength, and that like a healing and a blessing you want to pass forward. These are all in context of ritual. And then Moon and Saturn, sage. Obviously the cleansing aspect and that's a big one, the cleansing aspect, and to like clear away what needs to in the field so that we can just be fully present. So those are the plants that we're working with for this week. Now, these are all interchangeable. You can continue, like depending on where you live and where you are, might want to work with certain plants that are useful and grow in your lands. And even if you don't have access to these particular plants, you can call upon the spirit of them. So, you know, again, bay leaf is really associated with divination and making offerings. Lavender, calling upon that relaxation, that healing spirit, obviously. Thyme, and between bay leaf is between Saturn, which is Saturday, Jupiter, which is Thursday. Lavender, Jupiter Thursday, Mars Tuesday. Thyme, Mars and the Sun, memory. Sun and Venus, rose. Venus and Mercury, pine. I talked about rose, love, pine, direction, purpose, prosperity. Mercury and the Sun, cedar, healing, forgiveness, a blessing. And then Moon and Saturn, sage, cleansing, clearing, creating that sacred internal space. Okay, before I move on, are there any questions? And we should probably go through each day.
Rita says, is this reading clockwise only?
This?
Yeah.
I'm reading clockwise. But when you draw the heptagram, it's a great question, Amrita. When you draw the heptagram, you actually draw like this. So you're not just drawing clockwise. It's a very good question. She asked you, is this only reading clockwise? I said, I'm reading it clockwise. But when you actually draw the heptagram, you draw from down up in the clockwise direction, but you keep the draw moving like that. So
you start down at Venus, which is the bottom left-hand corner, and you end at Venus, just like the 5-pointed star. You start at that same.
in some rituals, yeah.
In some.
It's a great question. Okay, any other questions before we start moving through each day? Okay, so why is this important on the full moon to be doing this? Now, the full moon is when, you know, the new moon is when we're like starting the energy. We're like, it's very internal, like, this is why we always do new moon rituals, because we're starting the new moon with an intention for this cycle. The full moon is when it's like the full expression, you know, it's full. It's like we're leading up to this expressive moment. Oftentimes this is where community, it's actually more people go out on the full moon than they do in the new moon. New moon's a very, very internal time. So that this is the full expression of the week is kind of what we're going through. And this was an increase she had. So why this is really useful on this super moon is so every day moving forward, we can really start to hone in on the qualities of that day of the week in relationship to certain planets. Now you don't have to do that. It's just a way to like bring more intention into the day and really start to, like, I schedule my week in relationship to these planets. Obviously I'm flexible depending on how I feel, and you know, it doesn't always work out that way, but I start to like align my daily ritual practices in relationship to the day of the week.
There's a question of how do we use those medicines in between the days?
So what great question. So we'll come, who asked that?
Alonzo.
Alonzo.
Oh, Alonzo, sorry.
Alonzo, great question, Alonzo. The question was, how do we work with those in between the days? So let's help remember to go back to that question, because I think breaking down the day will help.
Yeah.
It's a really great question. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I kind of made my own little table of correspondence of what I wanna pass today that's gonna relate to Egyptian class tomorrow and divination. Now, magicians make many tables of correspondences, and this is why we do this, is to look at the corresponding relationships of planets and stones and herbs and deities and neteru and colors and foods, and we start to look at the corresponding relationships of the various sensory experiences that we experience on a day-to-day basis, and we bring intention around it. Starting next week, we're going to be bringing Heather Walker into the field, and we're going to start learning about how to make sacraments in relationship to planets. And so this is where we're starting to get really more refined as magicians. And so everything that we're thinking and doing is part of an operation, a formula to make more beauty in our lives. We're learning the art of making formulas and operations. And part of that is learning about the qualities and the energies that we're working with. Now, every day of the week has planets associated for the hour. So you can get more and more refined, but we're just going to focus on one planet per day to begin. Okay, what day do we want to start with? Let's start not with today.
Let's start with Sunday.
Let's start with Sunday. Okay, so we're going to start with Sunday per Ruby's request. Sunday, oftentimes is considered like the day to like sing. You go to church, the choir, the sun. Think of the energy of the sun, right? Gold is associated with the metal gold. So it's like the golden rays, the golden light, illumination, like being like bringing the light out, radiating light from the inside out. Sun is also associated with, in the Kabbalah, Hermetic Kabbalah, is associated with the heart, Tiferet. And this is the place As within, so without, as of that which is above, that which is below. As within, so without, that which is above, that is that which is below. And when the two pillars become one, we enter the kingdom of heaven. I am the Messiah, through me you will enter the kingdom of heaven. The classic Jesus line. That is associated with the sun, the heart. And because in the tree, this is a place where, let me pull it up here, all paths emanate from the sun and are lead to. So it has a relationship with these upper spheres of consciousness and with the manifest world. So we think about sun and we think about that golden energy. It's so much about, like, you know, it's associated in the tarot card as the sun. It's also about cultivation of strength and courage and the willingness to, like, radiate what we're here to do, our light. It's oftentimes a great time for gathering. On my Sundays, I actually, this right now, every Sunday I'm in a large Jewish mysticism class, and we study Jewish texts, mystical texts in relationship to Kabbalah. And so we gather together to, like, deepen our understanding of Kabbalah from a Jewish perspective. And then Sunday is usually a day where obviously I want to bring my gifts into the world of community. Sometimes I think about that in relationship to Sunday, like what are some rites that involve the community where we can have a more creative moment to bring our gifts. I think that's a great day to do group singing circles. Like if you can't do it in your home, do it in your community, like online. There's a lot of online singing circles, learning some new songs, like singing together, like singing our heart out. I always think of the choir. I always listen to choirs. You can also start to refine in terms of, like, music. Like, what is the memory palace you're creating each day of the week? You know, wear yellow, wear the color gold, work with gold, wear gold. Start to get into the subtle qualities of that day and that planet, and then see what happens. It's really quite mystical, the experience of it. It's also related to the sun god Ra. Now, in the Neteru, we're going to talk more about these Neteru tomorrow, but a brief description of Ra. Ra's related to the sun. Oftentimes, this is a great day to, like, adore the sun. And, you know, it's good to adore the sun every day because the sun is what brings light that helps with growth. You know, sun is really crucial for that, obviously. But if you want to do a specific rite that is about radiating your heart and, like, illumination, start your day on Sunday with doing an adoration to the sun. Super simple. Go out in the morning and, like, adore the sun. Speak to the sun. Get and receive the rays of the sun. Get the solar, like, frequency of the sun. It's a great day to receive that solar frequency. If it's cloudy or if it's rainy, it doesn't mean you can't do that. You can still connect to the sun that way. The light of the sun is a light in the fireplace. It's a light in your heart. It's connecting all of that light frequency energy, the solar transmissions. It's a great day for solar transmissions. So to adore the sun. And it can be very simple where maybe you want to, the stone associated is topaz as an example. I mean, there are other crystals associated, but, like, if you have topaz or something like that, you can charge. There's a great day on a Sunday with the rays of the sun to charge certain things with the solar transmission. So there's a little bit about the sun god Ra. Oh, this is also, you know, each of the days are associated with a sphere on the tree of life, which we're going to start going into next week. And they also associate with different intelligences. And in the Hermetic tradition, there are 32 different kinds of intelligences. When I say the Egyptians believe we had access to lots of different, the sense, like over 360 senses and many intelligences that are innate in our body. There's literal relationships with that in terms of Kabbalah. This one, Sunday, is very much related to, like, collective intelligence, you know, which is maybe why Sunday is noted in church, a day of prayer and a day to, like, sing together in God. It's like tapping into the collective intelligence and cultivating collective intelligence. Some of what I spoke about last week is, you know, sometimes visions come through and it's a collective vision. It's not your own. It's not yours to do. It's a collective vision. We're tapping into the collective intelligence. So Sunday's a really, really good day to do that. So think about rituals or practices that are about connecting into the collective intelligence. Sometimes too, it's worth noting, you know, when you do your solar, when you go out in the morning and you do your solar adoration, right, where you just like praise the sun that's giving life, the new day that you get to have every single day when the sun rises. Every day we get a new day. When you get to like praise the sun for that opportunity to start your day again, like the blessing of that, and then the rays of the light that like not only illuminate your heart and that are connected to the fire in your heart, that's connected to the grandfather fire that transforms and tends our prayers. It's also the light that helps everything grow. Like, what do you want to grow in the and collectively grow together? Especially in this time when we're creating, really needing to call upon innovative new technologies to, on behalf for everybody. This is very much about, it's not about just like figuring out like a job that's just for you, but a job that's jobs that create economy for everybody, because we're so interdependent and woven. So it's like, how do we like illuminate, bring forward our gifts and clarify our gifts and bring them into the collective, so the collective intelligence is shared here and we're working together. We're all in this together. Sunday's really good for that. And I think song class, Ruby, on Sunday. This is also really a planet, like astrologically, sun's also very connected to Leo. So you think about Leo, Leo's like what wants to be brought to the stage? Like, what about your gifts you want to bring to the stage and be seen in and part of the collective intelligence? Might be like a really good day too to like do some theater practices, interactive. Again, this is in relationship to the week, but we're not talking about what the sun sign is astrologically, what the moon's in. What we're not getting into the astrological influences per day. We're just talking about the days of the week. This goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, but we're just starting pretty general here. Okay? Okay, so now we're gonna go to Monday. Okay, Moon Day. Monday, Moon Day. You know, sun is very external, like radiating, illuminating. Moon is very internal, right? Monday. It's interesting that like Monday is the day, the beginning of the week that we like plan our week. And you know, you could, for me, Monday is a pretty internal day. I think about that. Like I treat it as like, what's my, now again, depending on our jobs from before or our jobs coming out of this is, you know, flexible. But while we're in this time of coronation, we can apply these qualities as we wish. So Monday, Moon Day, lunar, associated with Cancer. Cancer has like a care for the, you know, home, family, the community. It's a very Cancerian quality of the water world. It's 3 waters. It's the water that tends to the holy waters of this world, of the middle world, on behalf of the family and the community. You know, if you look at it, it's got like a 6 and a 9, or 9 and 9. It looks like a 2, like a family unit hugging. I think of it as like 2 fetal beings hugging. You know, it's a symbol. It's also a symbol for crab. Moon Day is also associated with silver. So if we want to get into color, like Sunday, you want to wear maybe gold, yellow, citrine, and you know, the gold. Wear gold, and then Monday would be a really great day to, what was the color of Monday? Purple, indigo, silver. So there you have, you know, there was at one point you were like, oh, is Monday silver or gray? So yeah, in terms of metals, it's silver. So silver, purples, and indigos. Monday is also very much associated with the moon god Khnum in the Neteru. You know, I talk a lot about Egyptian cosmology, so I'm going to talk about Khnum quite a bit. Or I mean, talk about the Egyptian deities in the other classes quite a bit. So Khnum is a moon god, Khnum, Khnum. So sun god was Ra, sun god Ra. Monday, Moon Day, is Khnum. So I highly recommend looking up Khnum. Khnum, I'm not going to say too much. Look up Khnum. We'll talk more about Khnum tomorrow. Khnum. I love Khnum very much.
Like an M at the end?
M, yeah. Khnum. Khnum. Okay. Moon Day as a stone. What would be the stone? It's almost like obvious. Moonstone. Moon Day, Monday, Lunar Day, Moonstone, dreaming, astral. I love to do self-care, loving practices on this day that are just like everyday self-care. It's a different kind of self-care, but this is the day I like want to do my masks. I want to take a bath. I want to like put that extra argan oil on my body with like special essential oils that are associated with the moon, like things like that. It's also the day that I've associated to working on the manual, where I'm going into like like an internal study day, where I like go in and study into the cosmos. Like I associate Moon Day as my day of going in to study the cosmos and learning in that way. Like I'm a nerd. I study every day, but I really put more time into Monday to be my day where I can go deep into the astral realms of study, because I'm studying about mystical traditions all the time. Moon is a really good day for that. Oh, it's also, I didn't talk about, I did. It's also related to the High Priestess in terms of a tarot card. So in terms of the High Priestess, I think I spoke a lot about High Priestess last week. You know, a lot of her work is she oftentimes has a veil, and she sits she's behind the veil. She has access to the abyss, the unknown, the unseen. All of this information in the unseen is hidden. And she's directly in the pathway in relationship to the wisdom of the cosmological realms, and in alignment to how that is brought back to the earth. She's like tapped into the emptiness, into the abyss. So Moon Day is very much associated with the High Priestess. So thinking about, you know, even for men, like oftentimes like people are like, well, you know, High Priestess also exemplifies priest, High Priestess. You know, like it's not just for women to do. You know, something I really want to clarify in relationship to these archetypes, and especially with the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, the Tree of Eternity, what I'm now referring to it as the Tree of Eternity. It's not gender specific. You know, each of the spheres of consciousness are both. And I feel like it's really important to demystify that, because I feel like we're learning about how we carry qualities. We start to think about solar qualities and lunar qualities versus masculine, feminine, yin qualities, yang qualities versus masculine, feminine. But that's not this class. So another one. This is also, you know, this is when we start to, you know, shift our understanding, and I'm coming more from like an Egyptian cosmological point of view. This is also sometimes related to the falcon. The falcon that has an understanding into the Osirian mysteries. And we spoke a little bit about the Osirian mysteries last week. We're going to get more into it this week. So what else? We have the stone, the moonstone, we have the color. We talked about some of the rites and rituals. This would be a very great day to do a moon rite. You know, let's say you want to, this is, I think, a very, very, very powerful day to do some automatic writing, where you sit under the moon on a Monday, Moon Day, and like do some automatic writing. Write what's coming through you. Because then you'll start to teach yourself. Like what's coming through you starts to teach you about yourself. Letting the astral realms or like the subconscious realms communicate through you. That's a very powerful rite that's very connected to the High Priestess. Where magicianship, like the archetype of the magician is like, I'm going to do this. My will in alignment with the divine is we're going to direct energy and do this. High Priestess drops into the abyss, into the mystery, and receives, and then transmits. And so this would be a great rite to receive and drop into the great body of the stars, the body of me, into the light of the moon, and just start seeing what's writing through you. Not so much word, but by writing, and then read what you're teaching yourself. This is where you start to learn how you teach yourself. It's really, really important, I think, to do. This is a great day to do that ritual. This is also very much related to, in terms of intelligence, like a uniting intelligence with the physical realm and all of these astral realms, in the upper realms of consciousness, inner realms, the multiple realms of consciousness. Building a relationship with astral consciousness, uniting intelligence, seeing how the physical world is very much connected to these interdimensional realms, and learning how to tap into those intelligences. It's very much connected to astral travel. And if we get to it, we're going to discuss astral travel. That was one of the inquiries least from Sonia. So hopefully we'll get to that. The other thing that's really powerful about the moon and Moon Day, is it's just in the tree of eternity. It's associated with, it's like there's the earthly realm, and then there's the moon, Yesod, and then there's all these realms of these spheres of consciousness, the Sephira. So the moon day is associated with the moon, is associated with the birthing canal into upper realms of consciousness. So it's moving through this, you know, like it's very much related to reproductive organs in that way, moving through the birthing canal into these upper realms of consciousness, which is why this is a day that I study into the cosmological workings of the multiverse. This is why I do that, because then I kind of enter into these astral realms that are in the what's that which is above is that which is below, and I start to learn corresponding relationships. So there's a little bit of some things we can do on the Monday moon day. I'm not going to get into the angels this week. I was going to, but we're going to get into the angels in relationship to Kabbalah starting next week. Okay, Tuesday. Today is the color red. It's related to Mars. Now, Mars, what are some of the Mars energies are Aries. Aries is the ram. Scorpio. And in relationship to Scorpio, Scorpio's, I think, very much the fire water. Where like Scorpios not only like, you know, swim and go to the bottom of the ocean, they keep digging because they know there's something deeper. And they're oftentimes, they have three realms of consciousness. They have the scorpion, the transformation into eagle, and then becomes the phoenix. So it's like the fire of the waters, Scorpio. And, you know, Aries is very initiating. It's like, I'm the beginning of the wheel, let's do this, we're going on a whole new cycle. You know, Aries is very initiating. Sometimes doesn't even like discern what they're saying. They just let things come out of their mouth, and then they're like, realize what they said, but they get the ball rolling. But part of the learning with the two of them, because sometimes the Scorpio will hold back and wait, and like it's so deep in the subconscious, and there's a medicine there to tune into, like that Aries initiating, I'm like starting the journey, I'm like the ram, I'm going for it, and then the Scorpio like coming behind the scenes, like looking at what's going on like in the deep subconscious realms and learning those relationships in terms of the day of Aries, the day of Mars.
And so both Scorpio and Aries are associated with Mars?
Yeah.
Wow.
In some traditions.
Yeah.
Okay? It's important to note that. This is also, what would be the metal? If you were thinking like gold was sun and like,
Copper?
nope. Moon was silver.
I can think of as magma, lava.
Like what's like strong, like
Brass.
iron, like Iron Man, you know? Like
Yeah.
think about Iron Man. Iron is the metal associated with Mars. You know, and I think that that's almost self-explanatory. So in terms of the deity, this is, well, maybe I should talk about the stone first. The stone associated with Mars in this realm that we're discussing, again, you can find other associations. This is just what I'm working with right now this week, is the diamond. Now we start to think about diamond consciousness. You know, like there's these buildings in China where I saw this documentary or like little clip about this. I don't know if they actually made them yet. Where these buildings, huge tower buildings where they suck carbon, and the buildings are designed like wings to suck in the carbon and distill into a diamond, and then sell the diamond. And the money that's made from the diamond is to create more buildings like that to suck the carbon out of the air. I think it's really, really good.
A carbon diamond. Wow.
A carbon diamond making building or something.
Amazing.
I don't know if they've actually made one, but I saw a little like excerpt about it, which I thought was really brilliant. But I feel like what this is, there's a really amazing book called The Diamond Cutter. I highly recommend reading that book. Incredible. And it's actually very, very useful for everything, especially if you want to build a business. But it's really about the cultivation of diamond consciousness. So I would spend today, especially in the super moon, full moon, really meditating on the energy of diamond consciousness and what that actually means from the lens of this building, sucking carbon out of the air, and distilling and distilling, condensing all of that carbon and making a diamond. Like just from that consciousness and looking into the diamond consciousness. I would recommend meditating on that today, on this full moon. If you have one, wear it, or if not, just calling upon that diamond consciousness energy. Now, the Neteru deity associated with today is Set. Now, Set is, there's a whole story that we haven't gotten into yet that we will. But Set really represents the warrior, and also like, can also times represents like conflict and war and like the fire and the anger of the Osirian rites. Set is the one that killed Osiris, and Horus, Osiris' son, comes back to kill Set. So Set is very, very much about destruction, and this day is related to the tower in the tarot. And this is very much about what's going on when we think about it, the tower, where like all the systems we've been programmed to function in, they're falling around us. And then simultaneously, there's this energy that's trying to create a new system that we don't have a choice but to function in. And this is where we're calling upon leadership from each and every one of us to create systems that work for our communities, to replace the system that's falling down, and to almost like a mycelial movement so we're not so like affected by this other big system that's trying to come in. We're creating a system that sort of like moves like mycelium. So this is a big medicine for today, you know. So really, now what in this day of like that Martian energy, which on a super full moon, that can relate to like heat and conflict and things like that, tuning into diamond consciousness as the meditation for this full moon. Like really tuning into the diamond consciousness. I'm going to say that like 1,000 times. Okay. Oh yeah, constellation wise too. I didn't get into constellations, but I will in another point. This one, the constellation that's really useful to tap into tonight, like if you want to sit under the full moon, is the Big Dipper. That's very much related to this day.
Mars.
The day of Mars is the Big Dipper. Now, we are starting to get into constellations with Egyptian cosmology in relationship to the deities, and we're getting there. It takes time to get there, but tonight, ritually, on the full moon, the meditation around as these systems are breaking down, and there's another system trying to control, what are the systems that we are creating that's going to come in like a network, a mycelial network it's on behalf of all beings, human and non-human. Like this is a great time to really drop into that, and from the place of diamond consciousness, from that place of that building that sucks all the carbon in that we've created in the atmosphere, sucks it all in. So to create blue skies for China, you know, like that feeling into that diamond consciousness, and that's like the center point of where we're learning from. I would recommend that as your part of your medicine today, if you wish. This is also the intelligence, you know, because Mars is very action oriented. Remember, we're talking about Aries and Scorpio. It's also like calling upon that like in it, like exciting, initiating energy that like what gets your wheels turning, like, what gets the wheels turning? Because remember the ram, you know, the ram is like initiates the whole cycle. So what gets your wheels turning? What's like that is like what gets things, the machinery of your internal universe moving. And that would be when you go into that diamond consciousness meditation, that would be the ritual to tune into of what gets your wheels turning in your machinery of the inner universe. Because that's probably a key to your part in creating systems that are whole systems that can, you know, carry us through this great transition. Because that's so much about this energy. What gets you, that gets that excited energy moving forward? There's like fire that's like hot, that's like gonna freaking slay shit. And then there's like that fire that's exciting energy that like is generative. So that's very much about what Tuesday is about. This is why we do our ritual. We like that energy that's moving, we then direct it into a prayer. We direct it into coming around the sacred, and then we direct that energy towards a ritual way of life. Because everything we imagine, think, say, do, everything we make a priority, every habit we create becomes our behavior, becomes our destiny. The world that we live in our lives is connected to our priorities and our habits, our decisions, what we choose to become the life we live. And this is the day to like really cultivate leadership for your life and a council of leaders for community in the globe. Okay. Any questions? Moving on.
There was a question from Rhett around, like, would you say that synthesis is a good word to describe Tuesday?
I mean, that's a beautiful word. I mean, yes, let's do that. Tuesdays, the new word for Tuesdays is synthesis, per Rhett. Thank you, Rhett. Rowan. Thank you, Rowan. Our word today is synthesis. That's gonna be called that in ritually. So diamond consciousness, like how the exciting energy, that fiery energy gets our wheels turning to creating new systems, like that carbon building that sucks the carbon to create diamonds, new systems of the inner machinery of the universe that synthesizes into a diamond that can then be our offering into the web and the council of leaders. That's your ritual prayer today. Thank you, Rowan. Okay. Moving forward. Let's talk about Wednesday. Wednesday is Mercury, that's tomorrow. So now if you'll note, I align my classes related to the energy of that day of the week. So think about art of ritual in relationship to Mars. And then Wednesday, Egyptian cosmology in relationship to Mercury. So Mercury, symbolically, has the circle, like the sun, and then it has the cross at the bottom, the elements, and then it has the moon at the top. Mercury is very much, like the other term is Hermes, sometimes related to Tahuti, Thoth. It's like the messenger. Something, Mercury is also very much related to travel. Messenger, the communicator between our mind and our body. Communication with each other, communication with the gods, the divinities in the earthly plane. It's the communicator, the mediator too. And Mercury is often associated with, in the tree of life, Hod. And Hod is very much related to intelligence and like oftentimes the occult mysteries, and also too like programs and deprogramming and communication in a lot of different forms, and how we shift out of or unspell spells. I speak a lot about that. And that's a little bit about it. I mean, you could go on for forever, but just to kind of give context for that. Mercury is also related to Hermes. The color is orange. So in the context of this class, now again, that changes with great gradations. What would be the tarot association with Mercury?
The magician.
Magician. Yeah, good one. So Roxy just acknowledged the magician. So magician type technologies are very useful on a Mercury day. It's related to Thoth Tahuti, which is one of the stories is that Tahuti and Ma'at brought the teachings down to this planet, the secret teachings, the magical teachings. And, Tahuti is the one who wrote the Emerald Tablet and is associated with language and writing and really the mystery teachings of the cycle of birth and death and life, rebirth, transformation. And so learning magicianship technologies, which is why Egyptian cosmology is on a Wednesday. It's like the role that I play as an instrument is being a vessel for the messages from the divinities that want to bring forward and be brought to the table. It's a great day for cultivating your sharing technologies, sharing the wisdom that you want to bring in the world, I would say. Or it's a great day to, like if some of us have, there's a very long period, and this has been brought up before, of feeling like stuck in the throat, like not being able to communicate what needs to be communicated. This is a very good day to do practices like that. To really get into the art of communication through your word. Where like the moon day is a great day to do automatic writing. And like this day would be like language communication. the power of language, because you know it was powerful about language too is cultivating the observer to what we say, like witnessing what's coming out of our mouth as it's coming and learning from yourself that way. It's very, very powerful because it helps to cultivate your own personal transformation. Mercury is very much a good one for that. Agate is a good stone. There are a lot of other stones for Mercury, but I just wanted to give like one. So we're gonna do agate today. Oh yeah, and the deity that I feel like is good too. So we already talked about Tahuti Thoth, but I think what we're gonna do is I want to bring in Seshat for the day of Mercury. So we had Ra on Sunday. Monday we had Kanum. Tuesday we have Set. And then today, or tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to bring in Seshat. S-E-S-H-A-T, Seshat. Now, the reason why I want to bring her in, we did talk about Tahuti, but Tahuti right now is in the 8 wheels that we've been working on. So I want to bring in another deity. And why I'm bringing in the divinity Seshat is because she is buddies with Tahuti, with Thoth. They kind of work together. Thoth, you know, is the scribe and like brings the teachings, checks in with Neith, the body of Neith, who's the grandmother of the star nations in a way. She's the great grandmother that is wise of the serpents. Tahuti checks in with her to make sure, okay, can I pass this language? Can I pass this writing? Can I pass this da-da-da? And then Seshat, she's like the grand architect. She like, her like symbol on her crown is like, she has like a cord that goes up to the sky, and then she has sometimes a 5-pointed star, sometimes a 7. She's often related to, she receives information from the Hathors, the Heteru, the Hathors. She's like receives information and then she architects it. And I think that is a powerful quality and technology to bring into your Wednesday, starting to architect.
Build the Oracle School.
Build the Oracle School. That's our day that we do that, is on Wednesdays. Thank you. I didn't realize that. So like, I didn't realize until Roxy just noticed every Wednesday is the day we work on the Academy of Oracle Arts when we're talking about building the school. That's like our committed day. We do it every day, but that's our committed day. So the day of Wednesday with Mercury and Seshat is a very, very good day to architect your like plan for your offerings in the world. How are you going to do it? How are you going to make it up? What's your structure? Because that's a day, and you can call upon Seshat and Tahuti to support you in that, because then you're receiving messages from the divinities in the Neteru. You're working in relationship with them, because the day of Mercury is the mediator and the messenger from the god, the divinities to the human realm, and the human to the divinity realm. So it's a great partnership to architect your offerings that you're giving to the world on behalf of the whole.
Carrie wants to know if there's a relationship to the Akasha.
Yes, very much so. The question, who was that?
Carrie.
Carrie's question, if there's a relationship to the Akasha and the Akashic records, absolutely. Like tapping into that wellspring of innate intelligence and information stored in the waters in the body and the waters of the world and the primordial waters of creation. And, you know, oftentimes, we talked about this last week, where you can tell the difference between like it being instruction coming through you or a download or an upload, or if it's like your own, or if it's coming from somewhere else, is the way the body responds to information coming. You know, like if we like want to jump at it and get it going, usually that's our own will or our own identity or our own ego involved. And, or if it's like instruction coming in information, we learn from it. We kind of like sit into it to realize, and then we learn how to gracefully be of service to the instruction and information coming. Oftentimes our ego or identity is involved if we're like in a rush to like share the download or share the teaching or share whatever. It's like instruction that's coming from like the Akashic or from the Neteru or other deities you work with is when you kind of sit back, receive the instruction, learn, and apply. It's a little bit different. You can start to feel the difference. We talked a lot about that last week.
And is copper associated with Mercury?
No, but thank you for bringing that up. Mercury would be associated with Mercury, Quicksilver. There's this interesting, great question. Thank you for bringing that up, because I forgot to bring up the metals. There's actually this interesting, my friend sent me this little video of this many years ago. I'd actually love to find that again, of this pyramid, this massive pyramid in China, where it was I forgot the name of the emperor at that time, but like apparently they sent like a camera inside, and inside of it, the center where the tomb of this emperor was in this like pagoda-like structure, and then the whole like ground was a topographical map of the landscape that he ruled, and then all of the waterways in between was Mercury, so it was moving mercurial water. There were the waterways of the topographical map, and the sky there were diamonds everywhere, so the diamonds would reflect on the Mercury, that reflect on the stars. Mercury is always moving. This is why Mercury is associated with travel. It's like energy and motion, like communication, movement, like not just travel to a place, but travel inside. You know, Quicksilver, it's moving, it's mercurial, it's like a watery movement too, it's like changes form. And so looking into the metals in relationship to the day and to the planet is very, very useful. Get to know the metals. That's helpful. Is there anything else I want to say about Mercury? Oh, it's almost 4:30. Wow. Okay, a couple things about Mercury I didn't mention. I didn't mention that Mercury oftentimes is related to Gemini and Virgo. Gemini, communication category. Virgo is, you know, the organizer, like almost very analytical and perfectionist. Oftentimes Virgo is also related to Venus. And so I'm going to move right into Jupiter, and then I'm going to go to Venus. Because we have, what time is it? Is it 4:28? Wow. Okay, I'm going to go fast for the last 2 minutes, and then I'm going to open it up for questions for those that need to leave. Jupiter is associated with tin. So just think about Jupiter and tin. And Jupiter is associated with, in terms of astrology, Sagittarius and Pisces. Sag and Pisces, other, you know, in relationship to this. Color, blues and sapphires, which we talked about. The Netheru related to this one today is Amun. It's a two-plumed headed deity. Amun's the father of the gods. So Jupiter is very much about benevolent leadership and always expansion. Jupiter is very much expansion. Not so much like luck, but it's more about like clearly creating the majesty of your life. You know, like understanding expansion. There's luck that has an quality of like divine intervention, but it's more about like understanding the beauty that you want to make in the world, the prosperity you're making for your life too. It's not just up to something else. It's, you know, benevolent leadership in that context. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. The intelligence, real quick, of Mercury is the intelligence of transparency and light. That's important. The intelligence of transparency and light in the context of mercurial movement. Okay. Now, Jupiter, the intelligence of conciliation and reconciliation. So just write that down and think about that tomorrow or Thursday. Conciliation and reconciliation. Jupiter is also very much associated with the healing energy. It's mercy. It's like in merciful like acknowledgement and prayer for like the majesty of creation, and in like complete awe of the majesty of creation, and like that element of like self-forgiveness and forgiveness of others for what we have done to like then become benevolent leaders to help usher in the world, the beauty we want to see in the world. A little bit about Jupiter. Move quickly to Friday. I'm going to go to the bathroom, and then we're going to open for questions. Mm-hmm. Friday, we are completing. Do we do Saturday yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
So we're going to briefly talk about this, and then we're going to go deeper into, we're going to start with Jupiter next week and go deeper into these planets, but we're going to address them now. Friday is Venus. The symbol is the circle and the cross. Okay. Venus is associated with what astrology? I'll just say Taurus, you know, Taurus, and today what the full moon's in, which is Libra. So Taurus and Libra, Venus, really think about that. And we'll get more into this next week. This is the day that's associated metal-wise with copper. Copper came up. Venus and copper go hand in hand. Think about conductive quality of copper from a Venusian perspective. The Neteru associated with Venus in this context of this class is Hathor, Heteru. So Sashata, which was the day of Mercury, she has that crown that connects into the seven Hathors, Pleiades. And so Venus is related to definitely the Venus star of Venus, but to hear about that Venusian star, but also in relationship to Hathors, the Pleiades. So tune into Venus in that way. Oh, this is also in terms of the tarot related to the Empress. Empress, that, you know, when you think about Venus, it's the circle with the cross. So an Empress that understands the elemental world and her role in leadership, to care for her community, to care for her queendom, and to care for her throne that is in service to the whole. So the Empress is very much like connected to that. There's more to it, but we'll talk more about that next week. And then this is we talked about Venus being green, and now we want to talk about the stone and the jewel tone, and this would be emerald. So this is very much related to emerald as a jewel tone. And it's illuminating intelligence. You know, emerald, illuminating intelligence. Okay, now we're going to briefly review Saturn. Help me remember next week, we're starting with Jupiter. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Saturday, the cross, remember Venus has the circle and the cross at the bottom, and now think of Saturn, you have the cross at the top, and then you have the throne. I see it as the throne. She's also, Saturn is recognized as the throne of thrones, the house of thrones is Saturn. And I spoke a little bit about Saturn at the beginning, so I feel like I definitely spoke about Saturn, so we'll go too far. Saturn is very much astrologically related to Capricorn and Aquarius. Capricorn and Aquarius. We're going to talk more about that next week. And then metal-wise would be lead, the metal lead, the color black, but black in the sense where all the color, it's almost like obsidian rainbow, where all of the colors of the rainbow are inside the black. And all of the colors eventually start to emerge out of the black abyss. So I like to think of, you know, Saturn as rainbow obsidian. And one of the deities too that's important to note about Saturn that's associated is Kronos. Kronos, which is the god of time. So it's really about understanding how to organize and structure creation so that there's like a discipline and structure and limitation in a sense so creation can manifest in a clear way. This is also related to the universe. I'm going to go through this quickly. Now I talked about black rainbow obsidian. Another stone that this is very related to Saturn is onyx. So just want to speak about onyx. And then the deity is Sobek. Sobek is the crocodile dog deity. I love Sobek. Sobek is very much connected to the subconscious realms. The crocodile, Sobek, is aware of everything that's going on in the subconscious, because they say that the subconscious is 30,000 times more influential than our conscious and our superconscious mind. Where sometimes our subconscious is running things.
How do you spell that? Deities?
Sobek, Sobek. So Sobek goes into the subconscious and is like aware and is tuned in to what's going on. And in that way, and you think about that in relationship to Saturn and the Holy Mother, Bina. And Bina, Saturn, is related to the Great Sea. Like there's an awareness into the reflection of the stars and the cosmos on the Great Sea in this container that is the Great Sea. That is the body of water that the crocodile Sobek travels through. That's the subconscious realms. So it's really important to note, because Sobek is also very much related to the Holy Mother. Bina is related to fertility, the fertile ground to create the universe. And then Sobek is related to fertility in the context of the Holy Mother, but also protecting what is being birthed. So very much a protector god. This is also in terms of intelligence, which is an interesting term, is very much about administrative intelligence. Administrative intelligence. So to go back to Jupiter real quick for a second, rituals to do on Jupiter. We talked about Mercury. architect your universe. Jupiter is now like expansion. You and your benevolent leadership. You want to like really like activate the world you're building. This is a great day to make a sigil. Like sigil craft that we did a couple weeks ago. Great day to make a sigil. Once you've like really refined what you want to like expand and like amplify in the world, this is the day to make that sigil, your symbol that you want to amplify. It's also a great day to do some, like we do Jupiter Kriyas all the time in accordance with the Academy of Oracle Arts. It's a great day to do some Kundalini Jupiter practices. If you want to learn more, go to Life Force Academy. Jaidev Singh, you can study all kinds of Kriyas for a very good price. He's one of my teachers and really dear friends. Love you, Jaidev. Check him out for Jupiter Kriyas or Kriyas in general. It's a great day with sigil craft. When you make your sigil and your symbol of what you want to project in the world, your logo, you hold your logo, you go into a trance-like state, you do your Kriya practices or a pranayama, a breathing practices, and then you go, you with like your soft eyes, you look at your sigil or your symbol you're projecting, and you go into that trance state with your breath practices, and then that way it starts to project. Jupiter is a really good day for that ritual. Another one for Friday, which we talked about, Venus, is obviously love rituals. Like this is the day, no matter what in the week, my sweetie and I, from 2 p.m. until eternity, on Friday, we do our love rituals in variety of forms. We do our practices every day with each other, but this is where we're like making sure to like give the love to our relationship. Venus is about relationships. You can do that with your partner, you can do that with your friendships, you can do that with your business relationships. But it's about like, not necessarily like do the work, like work. It's like giving the love and the creative energy and like the adoration for your partnerships and your relationships. And it can just be your relationship with yourself. It's like, this is the day to adore and like bring all that love and fertile energy to it. Okay. Saturn, which we talked about. Saturn's administrative intelligence, sometimes lost intelligence. It's also related to lost intelligence that like you like left over there. It's a really great day to draw back intelligences that you've forgotten about, like that you carry inside yourself and that you need to care for your offerings and your work. This is a really good day to like a discipline practice, like discipline yourself. This is a great day to like, if you do yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong, or, you know, Eve's doing Qigongs on Saturday, Qigong practices on Saturday. This is a good disciplinary practice on Saturn. And in that way, you're tuning up your temple, your like inner temple to like tend to your work, your creations. Like she's a holy mother. She's all about manifesting creations. And then this is the day to discipline, create the structures. I think Saturday, which is not generally how it goes, is a great day to plan the week. Because it's Saturday.
That's great. And then have Sunday to just enjoy yourself.
Enjoy yourself. Sunday's like full enjoyment. Saturday too, but like Saturday's day where like you want to like, I like to plan my day on Saturday. I like to
plan your week.
Plan my week.
Yeah.
I like to plan my week on Saturday, do my disciplines, organize my thing,
I love that.
clarify my thing, whatever it is, like take care of some things that I'm not acknowledging, maybe like look at my shadow, like check myself, like what am I doing here? This is a good moment to like address your shadow. I mean, every day is a good day to do that, but this is a good moment to do that for yourself, to like really look at your life that you're creating, how you were during the week. Personal feedback day. Like, how did you act in the week? Like, what were you like in your relationships? How did you tend to your prayer? How did you tend to your relationships? Like, what was your vibe? Like, is there any element of repair that needs to be cared for? Like, this is a good day for personal feedback day. And then also to like craft your week on behalf of like looking at yourself, your personal feedback energy, self-discipline, tune up your system to then enter into Sunday, which is the day of collective intelligence and the collective community work, where then you start your Sunday with like, you did the work to like look at yourself, you make it a ritual, not just like something you do like once a month. You at least do it once a week. and with the idea of doing it every day. But this is what the value of rituals is. You create rituals regularly to get yourselves into the habits, make the priorities, the practices that then shift the perspective, that then become the way of life. Like rituals are to help us create the new programs that we make for ourselves to help us evolve and make the beauty we want to see in the world. So Saturday is a really great day for that. Okay, that was the week. Now I do think what we want to start going into soon is the hours of the day. You know, we're getting deeper and deeper. Like last week we went into the 8 wheels and a little bit on the 3 worlds. Now we're getting into the days of the week. You know, we go deeper and deeper and deeper, and this is where we get into how ritual works in the context of making offerings, and also to project the beauty we want to see in the world and manifest the beauty we want to see in the world. So thank you for coming. I am lovingly accepting contributions, and it helps me so much. It helps our school for all the contributions. I am going to keep giving what's been given to me, and I just also am being told multiple times to mention contributions. And the Academy of Oracle Arts at the moment is full, but we will be launching the online course soon we're not going to be putting up a lot of the videos online anymore. I think instead we're going to have a private place online or on YouTube. And then we are going to consciously release videos on YouTube so there's a flow that's clear. So that's coming in the future. If you're interested in the online course that's coming, separate of the Academy of Oracle Arts, just let us know. And Sonia's putting in the chat room where you can contribute. Tomorrow is Egyptian cosmology. We're going to go into the Egyptian Neteru we talked about today for the day of the week. And then Thursday in divination, we're going to work with them in divination. And then starting next week in the art of ritual, we're going to start to go into the tree of eternity and really bring in some of the sacraments related to the tree of eternity. So we're just going to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And I just really appreciate everyone for coming. Thank you for your time. And opening it to questions.
Someone says, do you accept Venmo?
How many?
Or is it not on the thing? What's your Venmo?
Yes, Venmo. Thank you. Isis Indria. ISIS INDRIYA. Thank you for asking that. We're super appreciative. It's very helpful. We're super grateful.
I'm gonna share the where they can donate.
And then you can Venmo me at Isis Indria. Any questions? I have some space for questions.
Tell people they can unmute themselves. Maybe.
When will we talk about astral travel?
We were supposed to get to astral travel today, but what we're going to do is next week, we're going to start on Jupiter again. We're going to spend a little bit, because I think it's important to spend some time on Jupiter. We need to work with Jupiter a lot right now, in my opinion. So we're going to start on Jupiter. We're going to go over Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn, and then we're going to go into astral travel next week. That's the plan. Thank you for asking.
Question about, can you say again the names of your teachers and others you follow?
Yes, I have a lot of teachers. So in relationship to this today, and also in relationship to teachers that are coming on the Academy of Oracle Arts, because I think that's part of it too. Like one thing that's important, I feel, for those of us that are teaching things we're learning, it's also great to bring our teachers to the table so they can teach too. I think it's very important. So the teachers that have been a part of this for me is one of them, the main one is William J. Kiesel, Ouroboros Press. Look up Mortlake and Company. MORTLAKE, MORTLAKE, and sign Company. And then the name of his book company is called Ouroboros Press. And I am carrying the lineage of Ouroboros here in this Magical Art Studio. OUROBORS, Ouroboros Press. He's going to be teaching alchemy. We're starting an alchemy course, and that term is a hot term right now. I think he's one of the most refined alchemists that I know of. He's been teaching alchemy for 30 years. He was my first alchemy teacher, so I'm very, very excited. And we're just working on some dates. He's also teaching the Academy of Oracle Arts, which is very exciting. And then one of my other teachers, Marza Millar, she's teaching this weekend. She's teaching about prophecies through the Academy of Oracle Arts. So look out for that. And we're going to be releasing a course of hers too. Marza Millar, she's got tons of courses through her. So we're about to release one of her courses through the Academy. And then also Hector Gomez. Hector Gomez is one of my teachers also. And he's going to be doing a class at the end of the week. It's called The Principle of Goodwill. He's been such a gift in my life. He's one of my elders. He's brought the Sweat Lodge to my life and the teepee. And he's going to be really talking about the principle of goodwill and probably singing some songs. It's one of them are very powerful. So that's coming up at the end of the week, and we're going to be sharing that too. So I'm going to bring my teachers to the platform. And then one of my other teachers, Norman D. Ellis, I also talked with her. I've studied a lot with her in the Egyptian world, read a ton of her books. I highly recommend reading her books. She's teaching as a part of the Academy of Oracle Arts, and then she's also going to release some courses through the Academy of Oracle Arts too. So she's coming. So that's on its way. And there are many more teachers, but those are the 4 I feel to share in this context. And then also want to share Goodney Goodness's name. Just want to appreciate Goodney Goodness in here too. Any other questions?
You can put the contribution page up.
Oh yes, the contribution page is up. Thank you.
So also, please, if you guys are contributing on PayPal, if you guys should send it as friends instead of.
Oh yeah, please send on PayPal. Say friends and do not put the name ISIS. If you put the name ISIS on, make sure you say it as friends and family, and do not put ISIS. If you do, they will block it because they think of ISIS. It's interesting. So do not put ISIS.
Terrible.
So just put classes. They say art of ritual or something like that if you want to share it through PayPal. Friends and family and art of ritual. Any other questions? This is so fun. I love this. Thank you so much for your coming. It means the world to me.
So it says, was not the class on Saturday canceled? Was there a class on Saturday?
No. Oh, so
No, Mars's class is still happening on Saturday. It's prophecies.
Yeah.
And it's from
3 to 5.
3 to 5. Mars's class, yes, is happening on Saturday. Prophecies, 3 to 5 p.m. PST. You don't want to miss it. Garza is a storehouse. She not only studies prophecies, but she works with a lot of indigenous communities that share prophecies with her. And she actually is a voice for the Hopi Nation, the First Mesa Hopi Nation. So she's allowed to give those prophecies, and she's an amazing oracle. Brought the fireplace for the Oracle clan with Nefertiti to here. And so she's one of the main elders for this whole, everything we're doing here. So I highly recommend not missing her class. She teaches in a very circular way, like circular ambulation is what she calls it. So sometimes when she'll kind of go on like a tangent, and you're like, where is she going? And it's like kind of didn't make sense for where she was, and then somehow she circles it right back around, and you're like, oh. So it's really ideal to not miss a minute of her classes because the teachings are throughout the entire thing. It's very unique. It's a very unique style of teaching. I really love it. Any questions?
I think that covered all the questions we had.
Okay.
I'm just saying thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to make my final prayer here to close. And again, I just want to acknowledge that this is a full moon. So this is like the full energy of this time period in Libra. And Libra is the scales, remember? She's the scales, and she's very much about, she's Venusian. Libra is very Venusian. So bringing that feeling of love and fertility, the Venusian energy to this day of Aries, of Mars, of Scorpio. And remember, part of the stone today was the diamond. So tuning into the diamond consciousness and the relationship to innovative technologies to help create new systems that are on behalf of all beings. And really, like, I would highly recommend sitting under the Big Dipper today, tapping into the diamond consciousness, and really allowing yourselves to receive really the new systems, so we can create new foundations to help with this time of great transition. Utilize the power of the full moon. You know, the new moon is very much about like letting go of the last cycle and like setting intention for the new one, for this whole new cycle. The full moon is like so much about celebration and like illumination for all the work that you did. And then also like the diamond consciousness, like really honing in on your prayer for the path moving forward. Like, what are you bringing to the world? That's so much about the fullness of your gift, the fullness, like the honed in diamond consciousness, the diamond, your personal diamond, your personal offering, and like bringing it forward. You know, it's a powerful moment to do that, especially because it's a super moon. Okay, so I'm going to make my closing prayer here. So I just want to say thank you to all of the council of leaders here. All the council of leaders here. My prayer was about leadership, council of leaders, and I just wanted for this class today. And so I just want to acknowledge each and every one of you as leaders and celebrate your leadership and celebrate the reason why you chose to be born and the fact that you chose to be born at this time and your unique design, your unique diamond, the diamond that you are, and the unique piece that you bring to the whole, and how we're a council. You know, we all have our leaders for different parts of, we play a different role, but we need each other in this wheel here. We're like spokes in the wheel. So I just want to celebrate all of your ancestors, say thank you to all of your benevolent ancestors and all of your benevolent guides and allies and your mom and your dad and all your bloodlines, the ancestral bloodlines that brought you to this life, and that the fact that you chose to be born at this time, and all the training you did, everything you did in your entire life, everything that happened to each and every one of you, everything that happened that led you to this moment in this time of the great coronation, to be of service at this time. We've all knew it was coming. Here we are. So in this time that Charles, my friend Charles Eisenstein says of the great coronation, really acknowledge yourself in a humble way, not in an egoic way. Humble yourself to your own throne that you created, that is your life. And like coronate yourself, you know, crown yourself humbly on your knees in service in behalf for the whole, human and non-human. And then stand up from that humble bow that you made just now. Now stand up in yourself and sit up in yourself and sit up in your courage and your strength and your leadership and your willingness to serve. And then standing up in yourself, like taking a moment internally to like scan the council of leaders that you are so blessed to be in a circle with. This is a powerful group of leaders. And on this full moon, radiating in this full moon, the super moon here, this day of Aries, like the crew that you're in alignment with through the web here right now. Creator, bless all the leaders here, the council of leaders here, the benevolent council of leaders, so humbly in service to this great turning and willing to sit up courageously and bring forward the diamonds, each individual's diamond gift in service to the whole. Thank you. Bless each and every one of us just like that. And Creator God too, thank you so much for all of our teachers. Each and every one of our teachers that have been so lovingly and willing to share in a good way, share the care and the tending of the teachings in a good way. And the time that they've taken to pass things down to us and help us and train us. Thank you to all of our teachers in this way, calling upon the teachers and the guides, human and non-human, for this next wave to help us move into our next vibration, our next octave, to help together create the beauty, the new systems, the mycelial network of council of leaders, willing to put ourselves in service and willing to step in and be part of the ecosystem with the non-human world, to create the beauty and create the world that is a gift, an offering to 7 generations in the future, and a legacy that we feel proud of. A legacy that we feel proud of. And in that way, calling upon any wisdom and instruction and information from our future selves to help us tap into that legacy that is of great use and of great benefit for the 7 generations into the And today in the full moon, tapping into the legacy that we're leaving that we feel proud of as part of the ecosystem. Making our life an offering that is of great use and benefit as a council of leaders. Making that, illuminating ourselves in the light of the full moon in that way today. And as we do that for ourselves, we're doing that for this collective council of leaders too. And feeling, when we do that for ourselves with the full moon, feeling how connected we are to this council of leaders. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of the holy beings of the Neteru that have come forward today for every day of the week. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you, to Ra, to Kanu, to Seshat, to Set, to Tehuti. Who else is there? The unnamed ones that aren't coming through right now, every single one of the Neteru. I'm going to spend some time with you tomorrow. And in that way, I want to say thank you to all the Neteru 2 of the 3 worlds and the Neteru of the 8 directions. The Egyptian pantheon, the Egyptian council of leaders that are assisting us here on planet Earth at this time. Thank you so much. We love you so much. And too, like that, thank you to all of our benevolent ancestors, guides, and allies, and all of our ancestral homelands that are united here from wherever we are, and all the indigenous and native peoples that have been caring for these ancestral homelands. And Creator God and all of the benevolent council of beings. As we're learning how to be in alignment here today too, maybe also send that loving support to like bring abundance and fertility to all of these native indigenous peoples that have been caring for these ways for a very, very long time. Gives them everything they need and more. And if there's anything that wants to be brought forward, bring forward those, you know what to do, Creator. Thank you so much. Om Kanetaru, Om Kanetaru, Aho, blessing you. Making this offerings. Thank you all so much. Happy full moon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.